Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Plotaholics podcast. I'm Shane Wilson, and I'm joined as always by the hotshots to my naked gun, Bryan Tan.
Oh man, how's it going there, Shane Areno?
You know, it's pretty good. I got nothing to complain about. We're getting this thing done a little early today. That means that I can roam about the cabin a little bit more
Nice.
throughout the rest of the Sunday. I was going to ask, how have you been able to dip your toe back into the Elden Ring?
I haven't done it yet. I haven't had a chance.
Michelle is now fighting with the second big boss.
I'm not even near there yet. After I passed that first real boss, I made it through everything with the that castle,
Yeah.
like that first part of that castle, and then I climbed the castle tower, and then it's like you fight those birds that like to throw explosives at you.
Right.
And then you drop down, and then the dude's like, I'm going to teach you some fighting things. And it's like, yes, it's useless as all hell. And
Yeah.
then you get inside the other part of the castle, and then I just keep getting murked. So it's like, man, F this.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I have no idea how she's able to play it as much as she is, because I watched that and how often she dies, and I think
I just don't have the patience for it.
I just would. I feel like I would give it, whatever the old college try equivalent is in a Dark Souls game.
And it's like,
and
all right,
then-
it's enough.
Yeah, and then I would probably check out. Although summer break is upon us, and so maybe I give it a go. But I've plunged headfirst into some GTA roleplay.
Oh, okay.
And that has been an interesting endeavor.
See, I would do GTA Online, but once again, it's like, so I bought GTA 5 when it was brand new on the Xbox One.
Right.
And there was a point in time that I was playing it like a lot. And then like with a lot of games that I played, I was just like, all right, I just don't have the patience for this anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a different experience from anything you've done on GTA Online before.
Okay.
It's not available on Xbox. Like, I'm having to use the PC for it. But so it's a mod, right? That they've basically just used the GTA 5 assets. So you are on the GTA 5 map, and you have access to all of those different things. But it's completely open world. Everyone here has to, at least in the server that I play on, you have to apply with a character with a backstory, and then when you play in character, and at any given moment there are up to 80 other people, real people in the server. And there are no NPC cops. All the cops are real players. All of the emergency medical services are real players.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really wild. And so my guy, Sean, is trying to, he's applied at Weasel News to be a reporter. And he's met a couple of the other reporters there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Like the auto shops are all staffed by real mechanics. And
That's kind of cool.
It is pretty cool, man. So like, and I've been doing some streaming of that stuff over on my personal Twitch channel. So if you ever find yourself wanting some just gentle background noise. Right now, Sean Forrester is not a hardened criminal yet.
Give him
Though,
time.
yeah, though if he continues to like, if the money situation continues to break in the wrong direction, he might find himself down bad enough to start looking for something. But yesterday I was doing some mining, uh, just try to make some money. So we'll see.
Oh, that's
We
cool.
will see. It is cool
So,
though.
like,
It is. It's a very cool thing.
do you have to buy the PC game, or is it just like
So yeah, so
you
you
have
have to have a you have to have a you have to buy a licensed copy of the GTA 5, but not GTA 5 online, just GTA 5. And
okay.
then the game that you're really playing is called 5M,
Uh-huh.
and 5M is how they is the mod, right? So
Uh,
and that is free. So you just download the mod, and then there are just hundreds of servers. Some of them are just open, like you can just go in and play. But
mhm.
in this game, like you don't, you know how in GTA 5 online you have to like queue up for a job, and then you have to wait for people to like populate in there to do it. So in
Yeah.
this, like if you want to rob the bank, you have to collect all of the different things that you need to rob the bank, and then you just have to find the people in the world and like build a little group of friends, and then go do it, right?
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, my first day in the city, I was taken hostage for for a gas station robbery. Uh, and like there are a lot of like role play rules. You've done like dungeon mastering and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
some of this stuff. And so one of the central rules of the server is that you have to always fear for your life in a realistic sense, right? So if you're outnumbered and these guys have guns on you, then you have to like comply with them.
Right.
And so they took me hostage and then negotiated their way out of the gas station with the police. And then the police took me like over here and kind of like debriefed me, searched me, made sure I didn't have anything illegal, took care of me, gave me some
Jeez.
food and stuff, and then
Wow.
dropped me off back at home. Yeah, I mean it's
Sounds
pretty
like you're
crazy.
playing Second Life, and it's like,
Like
okay.
it is a little bit. It's a little bit like that, but it's a little more um, directed, I think. Like because in Second Life you can basically do whatever you want, including nothing, right? But if
Right.
you're going to subsist in this environment, you have to find a way to like keep money in the bank because you have to buy food and you have to buy water and you have like all of this stuff. If you're gonna have a car, you have to go buy the car and you either pay for it outright or you have to make payments weekly on it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. It really is wild. Like the police will impound your car if like you're caught, like if you're arrested and you have to go to jail or whatever. And you have to serve your time, but in-game time is like if you get
It's
sentenced
got
to like
consequences.
right, yeah, if you get sentenced to 90 months in prison, it essentially accounts it comes out to like 90 minutes, like so like every in-game month is a minute when
Gosh.
it's time for like prison sentences and stuff. It's really interesting though. Like and it's very intense whenever you're first logging in and you don't really know a lot about what's going on and you don't know anybody, and then all of a sudden this masked man is coming up to you and taking you. And I like played dumb, right? Like because it was my first day. I was like, you guys are really nice. Like, are we going to a party? And they were like, yeah, we're going to a party. And I was like, is it like a cops and robbers themed costume party? And they're like, yeah, it's something like that. And then like later on, I was talking with another character, and I was like, yeah, I met these really nice guys that took me to a cops and robbers themed party at the gas station, and like it was fun, but it wasn't as much dancing as I'd hoped.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
Really?
like you just you talk over mic to everybody in the game. You have a cell phone. You have like messaging and all of that stuff. I mean, like it is a complete like ecosystem, like self-contained.
Huh. Kind of reminds me of I'm getting Ready Player One vibes from this.
It's
You
very Ready
feel
Player
like
One or even Free Guy, right? Like it's that sort of
nice.
yeah. It's interesting stuff though, for sure.
Speaking of Ready Player One, I've just finished the audiobook to its sequel, Ready
And how
Player
was
Two.
that?
You know what? I enjoyed it. Like I think I saw some places give it sort of negative reviews, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, you
And Will
preferred
Wheaton's
the
good. So
novelization. Well, not the novelization, but you preferred the novel of the first one as well. Yeah.
yeah, I hate the movies.
Yeah, that's right.
I love the books.
Are you
And Ready
worried
Player
that they are going to adapt the sequel, or is that
I
just a
am.
foregone
I hope
conclusion?
they don't. I really hope they don't because
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff in this book that go on that one of the central plots of the book. So basically in the book, without giving away, I'll give you the Wade Watts, who's Parzival in the original. He and his friends are co-owners of Gregarious Gaming Systems, the Oasis, at this point.
Okay.
And he discovers a brand new technology that takes going into the Oasis to another level. It's not just like putting on a VR headset anymore. You fully immerse all of your human senses into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it like scans your brain and it puts your brain in. So think The Matrix.
Right.
And there's actually one of the arguments are made was like, don't you remember The Matrix? You never put your brain into a computer. And he actually starts to suffer the consequences of that. And one of the main battles, because part of the quest in the book is that they have to find the 7 shards of the siren to bring the siren back to life. And at one point, they are actually fighting 7 versions of Prince,
Mm-hmm.
who are like everyone is desperately afraid of. And the way they fight them is that they get Morris Day in the time. And apparently they had some legal battles with Prince's estate, so they couldn't use Morris Day in the time anymore as a band name. So they went by the original 7.
Yeah.
And that includes Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and I didn't know they were original members at the time. So you learn something new every day. But so I think with Prince's estate, I don't think they would be able to have iterations of Prince. And if they did, they'd probably have to have way more money than the budget would call for.
Mm-hmm.
And they even have more aspects of Lord of the Rings, specifically the Silmarillion. I can't remember who the Dark Lord was before Sauron, but it's like the Dark Lord of the First Age, who's supposed to be like way more dangerous than Sauron could have like ever hoped to be.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on, but it's more condensed. Like they do a really good job for a sequel. Like they even go to their Shermer server,
Mm-hmm.
which means that, with what they did, they're going to have to get the rights to use likenesses of Robert Downey Jr. and John Cryer and everyone that's ever been in a John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
So I really don't foresee them making a sequel because, and I like the way Klein did it. Like, if you're going to make a sequel out of this, you're going to have to spend a ton of money.
Right.
And if you don't, you're just going to ruin the whole thing. So there's no point in making it into a movie at all.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the audiobook and hear Will Wheaton's velvety, delicious voice.
Yeah.
It's that makes it worthwhile. Right.
Yeah,
there.
he does a nice job, right?
He really does. I love Will Wheaton's voice. Like, I really do. I can listen to Will Wheaton talk all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that guy. I like Will Wheaton.
I mean, he doesn't have a Shane Wilson level voice, but he has an amazing voice.
Well, not everyone is blessed with the butter factory that lives in my throat.
I swear, you come up with better zingers every single
I mean, I don't think that's a zinger, but...
No, that is great. The butter factory that lives in my throat. Like, that is amazing. Like,
right.
Do you just say stuff like that at home, just like at random?
I think so. I mean,
Dude, no
Michelle probably hates it.
I think that's probably that's what drew her in, man. First it was the eyes, then it was the beard, and then it was the Wilsonisms.
I think it was because we were at we met at karaoke, right? Okay. A similar story to you and Sharon, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you and Sharon went to karaoke a lot, right?
We went to karaoke, yeah.
Yeah, Michelle and I met at karaoke, and the first night that we met, I sang both Miley Cyrus's "We Can't Stop" and Lil Jon and the East Side Boys "Get Low," and I feel like it was the fact that I was both thoughtful and inquisitive and crunk as shit that that really brought her around.
I think if you would have sang that Wrecking Ball song, she would have just been like, wow.
Honestly, I wish I could because that song is a banger. But
yeah. But you have to do, instead of saying I came in like a wrecking ball, you just go Shane Wilson came in like a wrecking ball. Do it
Yeah.
all in the third person.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I only speak in third person around the house.
That's good, as you should.
Right. Yeah. Bryan, this week we were supposed to watch Hot Shots, and then I decided, fuck that. I'm watching Naked Gun. So this week I watched Naked Gun, and you watched Hot Shots, but we're going to talk Naked Gun because you've seen it a million times.
Yes, I have. I've watched the Naked Gun so often that it lives in my head. Like, it really does. There are aspects of Frank Drebin that are always in my head. Like, literally.
I love Leslie Nielsen.
As do I. I think what's crazy is that he was a serious actor first. He didn't start doing comedy acting until Airplane.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, that's even better because, and I think that doing like the serious acting roles really helped with that sort of deadpan humor because I'm sorry, he made Airplane.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this dude, he is the perfect. I was talking with Michelle while we were watching it. He represents this like perfect intersection of straight man, but also the main comedian, right? Like,
right.
He's kind of doing both of those things at the same time, which is wild.
And not many people can pull that off.
Right.
That's not easy to do because to be the straight man but still be able to do the physical comedy and the silliness that requires of the Frank Drebin character.
Yeah,
that's not easy. Not many people can do that. And I don't know of anyone that could do that now.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I'm trying to rack my brain about it. Nobody. I think the only person that might be able to maybe pull that off, I think Robert Downey Jr. could if he really tried.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee, but I don't foresee anybody who's an actual comedic actor being able to do that. Kevin Hart isn't doing that.
Right.
Dwayne Johnson isn't doing that. I mean, when Leslie Nielsen died 12 years ago, that was the last of a dying breed.
Yeah.
And there's something I didn't know about him. He was he is the son of a Mountie. He was a Canadian.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
He was a Canadian. He was born in Regina, Saskatchewan. You want to talk about a city that has all kinds of jokes about it.
Uh-huh.
And his dad was a constable. So that's kind of cool.
That's Canadian AF, as they say.
Yeah, and apparently his older brother was a member of Parliament in Canada.
Nice. In Canada. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He was in another sort of spy type movie, if I'm not wrong? Like, it's not one of the Naked Guns.
Let's take a gander and see here. I'm looking at
this was in like the early 2000s, late 90s.
I know he was in Spy Hard. He was in Mr. Magoo, Spy Hard. He was in Scary Movie 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
let's see. What am I thinking of? Maybe it was Steve Martin. Was Steve Martin in one of these later?
Steve Martin was in the Pink Panther.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of either. Let's see. He was in Mr. Magoo.
Mm-hmm.
Spy Hard might be the thing that I'm thinking of, but I don't think that's it. Oh, hey, we got a new follower in the mix.
Nana 7430. Thank you for following. Hey.
Yeah. And maybe this will. It's not Goldfinger because that was Austin Powers, right?
Yeah. I think Spy Hard.
No. There was. So I'm going to try to describe the plot.
Okay.
It was a movie about a movie where whoever I'm thinking of played the spy in the movie. So I think it might have been Steve Martin. Let me think. Because it was It was a movie in a movie. You know what I mean? It was a movie about making a movie.
All right, you know what? Let's go to Google. All right, a movie
don't
about
give it. Don't
making
give
a
them
movie.
that. They're not going to give you much based on that. Let's see.
Movie
That's the,
about making a movie that's a spy movie.
okay.
I'm actually
That's
putting
pretty
that.
good. That's not bad.
Oh,
Let
32
it.
best spy films of all time.
Bowfinger is what it's called.
Bowfinger. Oh, Eddie
99.
Murphy. That was Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin. So yeah, and that's the thing is and listen, you and I, it is well documented here on the show that I have sort of facial blindness when it comes to white people for some reason. And
Yes,
I
you have said
thought,
repeatedly that all white people look alike.
and I think that in my brain, Steve Martin and Leslie Nielsen have long been the same person. And
Well, they both have gray hair.
only this weekend did it come into sharp relief that they were two different folks.
Well, I think the reason why is the fact that they have both perpetually had gray hair for all of our combined existence.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have never
I
seen
think maybe
Leslie
they were
Nielsen.
born that way.
I think so too. I think Leslie Nielsen and Steve Martin, you've never seen them in the same room because if they combine, they will turn into Sephiroth.
Yeah, I'm gonna put something together really quick of Leslie Nielsen and Steve Martin,
All right. Because
and
I'll tell you the truth, I have never seen either one of them not with gray hair. You want to talk about silver foxes, man. Oh my God.
yeah,
Like, yeah, neither one of them have ever been without gray hair to my knowledge. Now, Leslie Nielsen was born in 1926, so when he started doing The Naked Gun, he was already in his late fifth, no, late, he was already in his 60s doing The
yeah,
Naked Gun. He
that
was
checks
already in
out.
his 60s. And Steve Martin, dude, Steve Martin has been, I remember, I think the first movie I ever saw Steve Martin in was The Man with Two Brains. And he
hmm
was gray then. And he was even gray when he was on Saturday Night Live, wasn't he?
I feel yeah, you're right. So let's see. I've got it here. If I can figure out how to share it, I've got the comparison.
Okay.
I know you're very excited.
I am thrilled. I am beyond over the mood.
Let me
Moon.
do it like this.
Not mood, moon.
All right. I need this one, I think.
Shane Wilson edits like a wrecking ball.
All right. So now you tell me which one of these is Steve Martin and which one of these is Leslie Nielsen.
I believe they are both Leslie Nielsen.
Ah, see, you're better than me. Because I searched I searched Leslie Nielsen, and then I copied this picture over into this presentation, and then I went back after I put his picture in. I went back over to Google and saw the same picture, I guess, and I thought, oh, I must have already searched for Steve Martin. And then I just pulled that again, and then now that you're saying it, yeah, like when I see them next to each other, I can sort of, they're wearing the same clothes, right? What are the odds that two men would wear the same clothes in different pictures, right? So yeah,
I have Steve Martin and Leslie Nielsen.
also I would argue that they even sound similar when they speak.
They definitely do. Okay, here. I think I know what you were trying to do. I'm going to share my screen this time around. Hold on.
Okay.
Dang it.
Do you have the ability? You should have the ability, maybe, right?
I'm just trying to find the this picture that was there, and it's taking me to some Reddit thread, and
Uh-oh.
I don't know why.
But probably because Reddit has uncovered the conspiracy that they're the same person.
That wouldn't surprise me. Here, let me see. Where is it at? All right.
Oh, okay. Here it comes.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
The crazy things we do when we're having fun on this podcast. So Leslie Nielsen is Bryan Ted, and Steve Martin is Shane Wilson. I love it.
Right. Yeah, that's the way it goes, man.
The way it works.
Yeah. So there you go.
I can see where you would get them sort of confused. They
Yeah,
both
I mean,
those prominent chins, the gray hair, the smiles. teeth.
Yeah, I think that I think it really is just that I think I experienced both of them when I was very young and like not discerning, right? And to me, in my brain, this is like old-ish looking white dude, white hair, teeth, chin, and not to mention that they both make the same kinds of movies.
Right. They both do great comedies. Steve Martin has done some slapsticky-ish stuff. Once again, I already referenced his film The Man with Two Brains.
Yeah,
But also I stopped sharing.
yeah,
But
no, I'm bringing it back.
but Steve Martin is more verbally funny. He sort of does that Shane Wilson witticism funny,
Yeah,
where Leslie Nielsen can do the physical thing and he can do the verbal thing as well.
right, right,
And
right.
I think they also both kind of have the similarities is that they can deliver lines and be just completely deadpan.
Mm-hmm.
But Nielsen made his career out of it, while Steve Martin kind of does it when he wants to.
That's fair. Now, I we talked last week when we were doing I'm gonna get you sucker that we both really love a parody film because of a lot of the I don't know if you would call them tropes, but just like the overuse of jokes, right? Like going back to the same well over and over and over again. And just also just, oh my God, just the silliest jokes. And now this movie really is so good at sexual innuendo jokes.
Yeah, well, the Zuckers have really made it their sort of that's their motif. Jerry and David Zucker and Abrams have always done in their stuff a lot of sexual innuendos, but they find ways to do it that even though it's the same joke, but they find different ways to do it that keep it funny.
I mean, to me, one of the funniest jokes in this movie is the nice beaver joke.
Thanks. I just had it stuffed.
Right, and we're like Michelle and I are rolling already, and then when she passes the stuffed beaver down to him, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
That was so great. That was really amazing, and I mean, because he was in the perfect position where a guy would be like,
right, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like the staging and everything of that joke is so funny. Before we get too far into it, do you want to slice people off a little synopsis
of the original Naked Gun? Sure. Detective Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad. The best at what he does? Maybe? In this mad camp romp, he discovers a plot to assassinate the Queen of England. After the attempted assassination of his longtime partner, Nordberg. In his searching, he discovers that the assassinations have a lot to do with one another. And this time, he finds love, and we discover that, well, Frank tends to cause more calamities than he stops.
Nice work as always. I guess we should just jump off of this thing with the O.J. Simpson of it all, right?
Yeah, I was getting ready. I wanted to sort of say something kind of funny, but I prepared a whole synopsis for Hot Shots today. I did want to say something along the lines of the assassination attempt,
right,
of a guy who maybe if they would have succeeded, two people might still be here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's just be honest though. If they would have successfully killed Nordberg, do you think that maybe OJ isn't able to complete his task? Terminator Simpson, who actually OJ was actually supposed to play the Terminator before they got. Yeah,
OJ you're throwing a lot of stuff at me here. First of all, really yeah, I mean, I think that if OJ Simpson killed those people.
Yeah.
Then his character's death in this movie has nothing to do with whether or not he ultimately does that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's if he did that, then he's just a piece of shit anyway, right? Like, so I mean, and honestly, like I feel like the public record at this point would support the fact that O.J. Simpson is just kind of a piece of shit anyway, right? Innocent or guilty. In that case,
we all know he did. We know he did. It happened. I mean, I ain't saying he should have done it, but you know, Chris Rock understands.
Right. But I'll say like let's see, the year that this movie came out in 88.
88, 89. And he killed Nicole. Well, allegedly. Nicole
in 94.
Brown, yeah, I was in high school.
And so I do want to circle back to the Terminator thing because I think that's terribly interesting. But I was struck by how good he was in this. Like
he is a good actor. He was a good actor.
And it's interesting because here's a guy that he was a big deal in the sports world, and now you're looking at a guy that could have like conceivably made like a pretty legitimate leap into film once he was done with his career if he had wanted to, because he was very good in this movie.
He really was. So yeah, and the thing is that his comedic timing as the goofy Nordberg, not goofy because Nordberg became a goofy character in the second and third films.
Yeah.
But in this film, I mean, he's still kind of goofy in this one. But his comedic timing and his ability at physical comedy was really, really good, especially for a guy whose knees just like are held together by like super glue and Hertz commercials.
Right.
Because, but yeah, O.J. Simpson, for those that don't know, O.J. Simpson was probably he was a top running back of his time. When O.J. Simpson really came into popularity, this was post Jim Brown. And it was almost like, you know, O.J. sort of picked up that baton that Jim Brown left when he retired. And, you know, you had Gale Sayers at this time as well, O.J. Simpson, and, you know, it was the era of running backs, really. And I believe O.J. Simpson was the precursor to Walter Payton.
Well, you believe he was the precursor to
Walter Payton?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because O.J. was after Jim Brown. He was around the same time as Gale Sayers, but Gale Sayers didn't last all that long. And O.J. retired in the early mid-70s, I think it was. And Walter Payton got drafted in the mid to late 70s. And O.J. Simpson, he made the Buffalo Bills a relevant team for a long time.
Yeah, this is from the very early scene in the film.
Okay.
I just love so much about this scene. It sets the tone for the whole thing. And we'll just take a quick look. I'm actually going to kick it over a little further in to when he first like busts into the room. And we have skipped over the very first scene of the film, and we'll come back to that. But just while we're talking about OJ, this is the most active he is in the movie, so we'll take a look at this real quick.
The music is great.
Look, immediately when that dude, his leg goes through the door instead of kicking the door open, I'm just like, yes, right? Like that is so. Another thing that has been,
you get that crescendo from the music, and then his leg goes through, and it's like,
yeah, and it's that kind of comedy that is so funny. It's like it's like blowing up a balloon to pop it, and instead of popping it, you let all the air back out of it, right? Like,
yeah, and that's exactly what it is, because it's just like, nah, yo,
right, and I think like so I have also well documented on the podcast my love for the sticky hands bit, and we get a sticky hands bit in this movie. We're going to talk about it. But I love this kind of physical comedy where it's like making fun. This scene makes fun of the long death, right?
Yes.
And how not only did this dude get shot so many times, but he goes through so much other shit, and then he and also trifling stuff. The fact that he just got loaded down with rounds, right? That he leans on wet paint. He puts his face in a wedding cake.
About.
Right? Yeah. Let's watch a little bit more of it.
The bear trap.
Yeah.
Everything else, and then I love this.
Police, throw down your guns.
Okay.
That guy.
And everyone's just like, what are you doing? They're playing!
Kill him.
Psycho.
So it just takes, and he hits his head. The wet paint is maybe the best.
Oh no.
So that's another thing that I love about scenes like this is that he has to travel so far to hit the next point.
Yes.
And, this dude just walked all the way across the room to get his hand slammed in a window, right?
This is masterful direction.
It really is. Yeah, and the bear trap, dude, is so funny because, I mean, honestly, it's an increasingly intense version of what the hell is this even doing on this boat, right?
I know, right?
Because why is there a wedding cake? Why is there a bear trap?
All the other stuff is conceivable. Okay,
yeah,
you had to hit your head on something. Yeah, it's you're on the ocean. It gets cold at night. Yeah, you're gonna have a little wood fire burn. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait a second. Why are you painting a door now? And okay, yeah, I can conceive that. But if it's cold enough to have a stove going, why do you have a window open? What is a wedding cake doing? A bear trap? Everything just gets increasingly more ridiculous.
It's so good. And honestly, and this is when I saw this scene, I thought, wow, O.J. Simpson is actually really funny. His physical comedy is way on point.
I just love the loud of everything that happened to him. The bear trap is really what. Ah!
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, that's the worst of it, other than getting shot, right?
Yeah, the bear trap, dude. Getting caught in a bear trap is horrible, man. That's just not gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I also wanted to look at the scene where Drebin first goes to see him in the hospital.
Oh God!
And that is also hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Frank Drebin just causes way more calamities than he stops. This is
so for sure.
Nordberg, me, Frank, your buddy.
Get the switch on the bottom of the bed.
Yeah, he's dead.
Nordberg, it's me, Frank. Now, who did this to you?
Love you.
Dude, whenever he walks in there and that bed closes the first time and his legs go straight up in the air, I'm just yo, this is another level.
You have murdered this man. You
twice,
have Jason Voorhees.
7 times now.
Yeah, dude, that is some Jason Voorhees level bending of a human anatomy.
Yeah, and outside of this, he's not really around much in this movie until the at the end when he gets pushed down the bleachers at the baseball stadium is the next amazing moment, right?
Everyone should have a friend like you. Ah!
Right. Well, it's so good.
Well, that's the thing with this movie. What we got last week with I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and what we're gonna get next week with Hot Shots. And I was telling Sharon this when I was watching because we watched Hot Shots 1 and 2 last night. It's also the stuff we don't see. And we see this in The Naked Gun. You toss something out of frame, and you just hear, yeah, I love that. I
Look,
love
that
it.
is a bit as old as cinema, right? Like just the throwing something off camera randomly and then hearing the cat yell, like,
Yes.
or whatever, right? Like that is such an old bit, but it's funny every time.
It never gets old. And I'll tell you what, man, I really wish some of those classics would come back. Like, I seriously would love to have another spoof series because we have so many. Like, and I'm not talking like the crappy ones, like the ones that make fun of Twilight or the ones that
Mm-hmm.
make fun of Fast and the Furious that put everything together in one and
Right.
horrible actors. I want spoof films that actually have good actors with good comedic timing that can actually act
Yeah.
with good writing. Like, I want another Zucker vehicle,
Yeah.
like a Farrelly Brothers vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I happened to watch, I was going down the Hulu portal, and Me, Myself, and Irene was on there. And I haven't seen Me, Myself, and Irene
Yeah.
in like a decade. And I remember just how much, why I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
good.
oh my goodness. But but I think though, you also have to give a shout out to what is his name? Um what's his name? I'm looking for his name here now. I'm trying to find it. George Kennedy as Ed Hawkin. Cause he's the straight man
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of this. Like
Yeah.
Frank is like one half straight man, one half the butt of all the jokes. But for his credit, Ed is the straight guy. And he and Leslie Nielsen play off of each other so fabulously.
Yeah.
Like all three of these guys, OJ Simpson included, they have such good chemistry and timing with each other. It's like you could not make me believe that they hadn't done like tons of movies together in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nielsen and Kennedy were in the TV series Police Squad together. But I mean, my God, this is just so amazing how great they are.
I wanted to talk about the first scene. Obviously, Drebin is overseas and he fist fights a bunch of world leaders from enemy nations.
He went to Beirut for a vacation.
Right. And then like the revelation comes that this dude is just like in a specialized unit of essentially the LAPD.
Yes.
And and Beirut is definitely outside of his jurisdiction. This is like some Team America shit, right?
Yeah, just about like a mile or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard what you did. It's like, yeah, you caused an international incident, my dude. Like,
For sure.
Like, why? Like,
And I love that this was maybe the most 1988 thing in the whole movie. When he got to the airport and thought that the press was there for him, but it was actually, they were all there for Weird Al.
Hi!
I'm just like, yo, like the Weird Al cameo is so 1988.
And he's in every one of these movies. He is in every one of these movies. And Weird Al is another one. You want to talk about a guy who's a comedic legend.
Yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic he's a national treasure. Like,
he's the Stan Lee of these movies.
He really is. Well, Weird Al also, he's one of the few famous people that there's like no sort of drama about him. There's no scandals, none of that. He's just himself.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, my world is literally going to come crashing like a Zeppelin.
Is he the one? If you hear something bad about him, he's the one that'll like break you.
That's just it. Because it's bad enough. Like, it happened with Hulk Hogan. It happened with Bill Cosby. I mean, it's happened with so many people that were staples of my childhood. If it happens with Weird Al, I'm just done. I'm moving to Antarctica, and I'm never coming back. I swear to God. I will go to the most inhospitable place on this entire planet, which is also melting, by the way, so I might be able to be relatively comfortable. But I will go there, and I will never return. I will never speak to another human being again. Ever.
What is for your money, what is your favorite Weird Al song?
Oh, God. I would have to say most all of the songs on his Bad Hair Day album. But I really love the song I'll Never Forget About Larry.
Mm.
Like, because the song goes to the point where, like, this guy Larry is doing all of this stuff to him. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is real great, you know. But hey, do you remember that time I broke in Larry's house late at night and tied his mouth with a rag? And it's like, whoa, this guy's just playing all these pranks on you. You're like kidnapping him in the dead of night, really? But I also love his on that Bad Hair Day album. He had a compilation song called 90s Polka, where he's literally just singing the most popular hooks of these 90s grunge era songs with polka music. And he's not changing the lyrics. I'm thinking like some of them he has like little comedic sound bites he's like, black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain?
I was always a fan of Amish Paradise.
Amish Paradise is a fun song.
I also liked Pretty Fly for a Rabbi.
Pretty Fly for a Rabbi is definitely hilarious. I like White and Nerdy.
White and Nerdy is a classic for sure. I liked the American Pie, the Star Wars American Pie.
I also I'm talking about the classic, Another One Rides the Bus.
Oh, that's a good one. And then obviously all of the Michael Jackson ones, right? Like Eat It and Fat. I mean, I don't know why all the Michael Jackson ones were about food, but...
Yeah. He wanted to do one with Prince songs, and Prince was like, no.
And Prince was a no-go, yeah. I feel like he had some trouble, too, with Coolio. Over. I feel like Coolio...
That was all for publicity. Coolio.
Oh, was it?
No. Basically, Coolio had to maintain his gangster rapper image.
I gotcha.
But
in secret, like he's like jamming out to Weird Al.
Yeah, and he cashed that check with no problem.
Oh, for sure.
I'm trying to think. What's another one? Oh, Tacky. Have you heard Tacky?
I don't think so.
It's done to.
Yeah. I have. Yeah, his new stuff. I mean, he has not fallen off. His new stuff is also very good.
Are you gonna watch the Daniel Radcliffe Weird Al?
Yeah, if I can figure out how to watch it on Roku.
I mean, they just came out with the first trailer. I haven't watched it yet, and I don't know why, but I think part of me is afraid that, my allergies have been really bothering my eyes lately. Like the other day, both my eyes were like beet red, and like all the meat inside the eye was like getting all inflamed because I was rubbing it. It's like, man, this pollen is kicking my ass this year.
Yeah.
But this is my first year in this house in the springtime because I moved in the summer, so all the pollen was gone and whatnot. So this is just me learning about my house and how the whatever. But I'm like, Weird Al had nothing but good things to say about Daniel Radcliffe playing him, and Daniel Radcliffe is a great actor. I finally watched Guns Akimbo about a month and a half ago.
It's pretty good.
I'm in love with that movie. I want a part 2. I seriously, I want Daniel Radcliffe to play Wolverine because I think he would be perfect at it. But but Weird Al had nothing but good things to say about Daniel Radcliffe playing him. So, and when I saw the images, it's like, Harry Potter has a mustache and a perm. So I'm not sure how I feel yet, but I'm gonna watch the trailer and see how I like it.
Yeah, I watched last night. Michelle and I watched The Lost City. It's got Channing Tatum and
how was that?
Selma Hayek.
No,
it was
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. Yeah, God, Sandra Bullock.
Confused all the time.
I'll tell you. I'm just so bad at names. In any given semester, I have to learn 120 something new names, and there's just not enough space in there for other names. So we watched that last night, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was a PG-13 comedy, so it was like, you know what to expect with that. And it wasn't bad though. I think Channing Tatum is really funny. And they're good. They're good enough together. But I mention it because Daniel Radcliffe played the villain. And
really,
yeah.
Oh my god!
And
Now I really gotta watch that movie. Oh my god!
yeah,
I was wanting to watch that movie anyway.
yeah, he's good. It's free on Paramount right now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that when I maybe. Well, no, I can't watch that while I'm cleaning up the house because I won't clean up the house.
That's fair.
But I have to check that out. You know what? I went on Peacock to watch. So we went to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness because my birthday was on Wednesday. We went to go see Doctor Strange on Thursday, and I saw the advertisements for the remake of Firestarter with Zac Efron. So it happens to be on Peacock. So I watched that on Friday, I think it was. And I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Oh yeah.
Really
The Multiverse of Madness? You don't know how you feel about it?
Oh no, here's my thing with Multiverse of Madness. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. Okay, I think he's an amazing actor. I think he does a lot of good things with Doctor Strange. But here's my problem: I never had a real connection to the Doctor Strange character. I didn't like the comics. When I went to go see the movie, I didn't dislike it. When I went to go see the original Doctor Strange, I didn't dislike it. Yeah. But I kind of walked out like it wasn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now when I see Doctor Strange, like when I saw him in an Infinity War and whatever, I enjoyed him.
Yeah, is he just better in other people's movies?
I guess, but that's just him. That's the one thing. The characterization is really, really good because he stays very consistent.
Right.
It's just that I don't really have a lot of a connection to the character.
Right.
That's not to say that the movie was bad, dude. Elizabeth Olsen was amazing. Like, Elizabeth Olsen just gets better and better. Benedict Wong is absolutely amazing. The young lady who plays America Chavez. The only issue I have with her is that I feel like they could have developed her character a little bit better, but it's a Doctor Strange movie, not a America Chavez movie.
Right.
I really hope they better do more with her in the future. I'm not going to give away the spoilers of the cameos.
Yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about them.
But I'm very excited where the future is going. But that movie was like literally, this is the Elizabeth Olsen show with Benedict Cumberbatch as her co-star. So I enjoyed it, and I love the Sam Raimi direction. I love the style. There's a lot of what you get in Sam Raimi movies is what you get in this, which is a pretty good thing. It's just I don't have a real deep connection with the Doctor Strange character.
Yeah.
So it was a good time, but I'll watch it again when it comes on Disney Plus, maybe if I go on a Marvel binge.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm kind of like having a moment with Marvel right now where I'm just like not vibing with the Phase 4 stuff as much as I wanted to. You know, I mean, like I loved WandaVision. It's still maybe one of my favorite things that they've ever done. It just like nothing else that they've done, and I haven't watched Loki, but nothing else since Phase 4 started has really done for me what that did.
I did not like the finale to Moon Knight.
I didn't like anything about Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I honestly was just not really a fan of it at all. And it could be that I didn't really see very much of it because they wouldn't turn on the goddamn lights. But, like, the dude's name is Moon. Like, it's not dark. I could see Batman movies better than I could see this.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I mean, like,
they've got a lot to get back to. But I have a feeling that when Thor: Love and Thunder come out, I think we're gonna have a good time with that because
I agree.
Always a good time, and the soundtrack.
Well, Taika Waititi is a better bet than him.
Taika Waititi is always a victory, and the fact that we're getting Jane Foster, Natalie Portman back, I've always got time for Natalie Portman. I've been a fan of Natalie Portman since that Hitman movie she was in when she was a little kid.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of her. I'm still kind of mad at George Lucas for regulating Padme Amidala to Anakin, you're breaking my heart. But that wasn't her fault. That's all
it wasn't.
But so Weird Al was the Stan Lee of the Naked Gun universe. He really is.
What a meandering path we took there. I mean,
Yeah.
like, so this movie, like, this is something that we're gonna, I think, continue to come back to over the next few weeks. Like, the plots for parodies are just not that complex. It's a pretty standard, like, assassination thwarting attempt where he's a cop that kind of acts out. He's a little bit rogue. He gets in trouble because of the way he tries to protect the queen at one point, but then he does ultimately end up saving the day, even though he kind of bumbles his way through the whole thing.
Pretty much. That's exactly the entire plot of the film, right?
Yeah.
There. That is everything.
Yeah, we can talk about the baseball scene if you want to, which I think...
You know what? I wanted to talk about before we get to that. You were talking
Yeah.
about the sexual innuendos.
Yeah.
The scene where he tries to go into the guy's office and he sneaks out because he started a fire.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some amazing sexual innuendos in that. Like, oh my God.
I don't even know if they're innuendos. Like, those are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, well, what gets me about that, though, is when they read the charges that he's facing.
Uh-huh.
Sexual assault with a concrete dildo. Yeah, well, see, like, he's really trying to justify. And the thing is, the man really has a justifiable excuse for why all of that happened. But
yeah, for sure.
So bad.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, the baseball scene. Now, here's the thing. I used to love baseball bloopers as a kid. I loved, like, when I was a little kid and I had my massive VHS collection, I had at least 5 or 6 baseball blooper videos. And like different, and I mean other sports bloopers for sure. But I really love baseball bloopers. And this ending of this film really, really just had me laughing my ass off the whole time.
Yeah, it's really good. My thought as we were getting into the baseball scene, the movie has a runtime of 1:25, give or take, which is just perfect for a movie like this. Mm-hmm. It's, we talked with Wedding Crashers about how it went on so long that the jokes started to fall flat, but here it feels snappy the whole time. They're not forcing in a bunch of jokes that you don't need, blah, 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 blah. I worried when we got to the baseball scene so early that it was going to drag and sort of that we were going to get bogged down in it, but it's so good and so ridiculous. And here's another one of my favorite jokes. And this is one that is sort of a slow wind up, right? So like his first attempt at getting on the field is impersonating the opera singer that does the national anthem, right?
It's Enrico Palazzo!
And when that comes back, like at the end, it was so funny that like everyone in the stadium thought that that's who he was because he sang the national anthem.
And what's funny though is that he stands up and screams, "It's Enrico Palazzo!" And it's like, how did anyone even hear that?
Right. But then I also loved that like how he started showboating as the umpire.
Oh my God! Yeah, he was like, he throws a pitch. Strike!
And look, this is like so obviously where a lot of Steve Carell's Michael Scott comes from. Yes. Like the tentative, like, I'm not sure of myself, but you remember the episode where they took Michael to New York for the shareholders meeting, and he was like, and everybody was pissed at Dunder Mifflin, right? And then he's like, we're going to go back there and we're going to figure out how to save the company. And everybody is like losing. They're all like loving it. Right. And so he just continues to like dig a bigger hole. He's like, it's a 32-step, 32-day plan. We're going to save the company and we're going carbon neutral. And everybody's just like, and then like, they're all pissed at him. But that's what Drebin ends up doing in this scene, right? Like he just tentatively does one little thing. Everybody loves it. And now he's just like leaning all the way into it.
I mean, it's even better. He calls strike 3 before the pitch even hits.
Right, yeah.
And then he starts moonwalking.
Yes. Man, that's so funny.
Hey, man, he's got some dance skills, man.
Well, and then he started throwing other people out of the game. He started throwing umpires out of the game.
You're right. You can't throw an umpire out of the game. Yeah, all right, you're I love the fact, though, that I love the commentators though when they're showing like the Angels highlights and the guy goes to make the catch and his head falls off. The one dude's like,
right, yo, the highlights, that was so good. Like because there were like legitimate bloopers in there, and then there's just be one where a tiger attacks a guy on second base.
I I love the fact when they announced the broadcasting team, and it's like Dick Vitale and Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Right, there are like 8 people up there.
And what was it? I love what is it? He's at first they're like sending in the signals or whatever, and then the guy just has like the light. He's like pulling on the light in Morse code.
Yeah.
Everything about it. What about when the Queen throws the pitch? It is this crazy ass screwball, and she's just like,
yeah. What I need is because obviously in the 80s baseball was the national pastime, and what I need now is, like you said, a new parody series, but I want them to do football like in the same way that they did this, because football is rife for parody, right? And not in the way that like the Waterboy does it, but in this kind of way, right? Where you have a complete outsider come in and do something in it, either like he comes in as the quarterback or a referee or a coach or something like that, and he just kind of like bumbles his way through the game. But then you have the opportunity to make fun of the broadcasters and the rules and the fans and all of that. I think that like that's the sport that I think right now is really primed for this kind of treatment.
Could you imagine, like, Frank, you can't let him score that touchdown in the third quarter. And he's like chasing, I could actually see him like chasing down like Chris Henry or Najee Harris and tackling him right at the goal line.
I want to see him like trigger a fumble and then catch the ball and start running around with it, just juking everybody out, right?
I want to see Patrick Mahomes throw a deep ball, and he pulls out his gun and shoots the ball in midair.
Yeah.
And it lands like way short of the receiver because it's all flat.
And he's like, that's the only ball we've got. And so now they've got to play the rest of the game with the flat ball.
No, that's what I want. That is what I want. Actually, that would be a great shame.
It would be really awesome if Tom Brady was the quarterback in that game and he's like, a deflated ball, I've got this.
Why aren't we writing this movie right now?
Right? I mean, like, that would be like a really nice, like, Tom Brady self-aware thing, right? Like,
and you know what? And Tom Brady has a pretty cool sense of humor because he was in Ted 2.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty funny scene. Like, Ted 2 is nowhere near as funny as the original, but that Tom Brady scene was absolutely hilarious.
What would be really funny is if Tom Brady was the backup quarterback on the team in this movie, and whenever he shoots the ball and it's flat, the coach is like, "Oh, it's okay. We've got somebody for this." And they're like,
"Here comes Tom Brady."
Right. They're like, the crowd parts, and he's like, "What? It's my turn, coach? Finally."
Or better yet, what if Tom Brady was the coach and the ball gets flat and he's just like, "I've been dreaming about this moment." And there's like a new, like that old school news panel with the newspaper spinning in. Tom Brady unretires.
Right. Again. And then we have like a scene from like a suit up scene, like the one from Batman and Robin, where he's like, shoop, shoop, shoop.
But he has someone tying his shoes because Tom Brady is way too Hollywood to tie his shoes.
Right, and like as fast as the helmet and the pads and everything goes on, we have to watch this dude tie his shoe for like 2 minutes.
Right. It's like, and Tom Brady's yelling at him because he's not getting it right. I said double knotted. See, that's the kind of, like, we don't get movies like that anymore, and like people get real butthurt about political correctness and everything, but like you can make this movie today and it's absolutely fine. Right. This is one of the few movies that you can do the way it was in the 80s and the 90s. And you won't lose a step. You could do movies like this with the silly, gratuitous nudity and the stupid stereotypes, and it won't lose a step. Right. This movie reminded me so much of Andy Sedaris movies. Right? I think the one thing about movies like this is that it doesn't take itself seriously. Yes. Everything is a butt of a joke. And that's why movies like this, well, because we've talked about this in the recent weeks, films that we watched that maybe we loved in our youth, that when we watch it with 2022 eyeballs, it doesn't land the same because of certain things. This genre is made to stand the test of time. Right. It's because it leans on just like the most classic of bits, right? Like even the stuff like, look, there's a scene, right? And I was talking about the sticky hands.
Like there's the scene where he goes to see the guy and he's like walking him through all of his like priceless collections, and he's like, this pen, it can withstand anything except water, right? And you know immediately that pen is going in that fish tank, right?
Yeah, he's got a 100-gallon fish tank. You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that $20,000 fish is definitely going to die, right? Like they telegraph it, but the fact that they telegraph it is what makes it funny, right?
Right.
And so
With water.
when he gets over there and that fish latches onto his hand, like that's the sticky hands bit, right? Like it's not really sticky hands, but it's the idea that there's something on his hand that he can't get off that makes me laugh so much.
Right. And he goes, you know what everything out there was just a few years ago? Yeah, you bet you do.
It's like it's a combination of sticky hands and animal attack, which is maybe the greatest combo, right?
I love animal attack.
Like there's something about Mary when the dog attacks Ben Stiller.
Yes.
And he's got it like on his dick and he's like spinning around with the dog, like just like like that's so funny. Like sticky hands and animal attacks are so, and that's why the tiger bit in this movie also works, right? Like the animal attack is just so funny.
Well, I love the fact that you mentioned use the Ben Stiller and something about Mary. I watched Kick-Ass 2 again. I revisited that, and when Jim Carrey's dog attacks the guy, and he goes, "Oh, it hurts." He goes, "Oh, I know. You got a dog on your balls." That is so hilarious because it's like he does. And I'm sorry, a German Shepherd has a stronger bite index than a pit bull does.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
look, like
a German Shepherd biting someone's junk is like, ugh.
But even that scene where like they're like starting to get a little intimate, and she's like, she takes her dress off, and then he just like he rips his suit off, which is a payoff for like I'm going to slip into something more comfortable, and comes out in a nicer suit. But that suit is just like a breakaway suit.
I love the fact though that he comes home and he does all of this super athletic stuff, and it's just her cooking. But he kicks open the door, and he's like, "Oh, right." Ah!
That's also like one of those really awesome bits is like, and this happens several times in the movie too, where he does something incredibly competent. Like he beats these guys' ass at the beginning, right? And then like the window slaps him in the face when he tries to leave. Or like what you're talking about, this like elaborate gymnastics routine through the whole house. And then like the door hits him in the face, right? Like it's...
Oh man, it's so great. I love the fact though too. What about when he's going to the police station and he doesn't put his car into...
I was about to talk about that one.
He doesn't put it in the park, and the car just shows up and it's attacking, and his airbags are trash bags.
Yeah.
And he shoots the car out, and it's just like, man, anyone get the license plate?
You're right. It's so good, man. Like, I mean, there's like, what else can you say about it? The jokes are really funny, and the storyline is really basic, but it is, I mean, it's a movie that's making fun of like cop movies, right?
Right. And I mean, like, and I really enjoy the narration. And this is where Leslie Nielsen as the deadpan straight man really comes to life. And it really brings this movie together. That and the music, the score of this, it really takes you back to those old 40s and 50s detective stories.
Yeah.
With that voiceover narration. And he's sitting there and he's walking and goes, "How long was I walking? And where the hell am I?" It's just so good. And honestly, this movie doesn't work with any of the time with anyone other than Leslie Nielsen. I think the only person that could probably make this work today, this brand of comedy work today, is a Steve Carell.
Oh, I would float the name Will Arnett.
Yeah, Will Arnett has definitely come into his own with the comedy over the last few years. I haven't had a chance to get back to Arrested Development, but in that he's got to be more over the top.
Yeah, you know what you need to watch? You need to watch, oh man, it's a Netflix series with him. Hold on, Murderville.
Okay.
So, have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
So Murderville, the premise of Murderville is that Will Arnett plays a cop or like a detective, right? And each week a different celebrity comes in to be his partner. And they are improvising their way through a murder mystery.
Oh, okay.
Will Arnett is the only one that has seen the script and like knows who's guilty and like knows the storyline and everything. And he's
Oh, wow.
he guides the co-star through the action through a series of like improv games, right? So Will Arnett plays the straight man. But listen, like if you start with one episode, start with the Kumail Nanjiani episode. It's so fucking funny, dude. Like I laughed so hard during that episode. And they're all really good, and the best ones are when the guest star is like absolutely just down for it, right? And surprisingly, Marshawn Lynch, hilarious in this show.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good, but you got to remember that like everybody is improvising, right? And that Will Arnett is the only one that has like seen the script.
There's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's only one season right now. It just came out a little while ago, but it's very good.
All right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, give it a shot. The Naked Gun was made on a $12 million budget, and it grossed $140 million at the box office. It spawned also 2 sequels.
Yep. Which are just as hilarious as the first in a lot of ways.
And I'm going to have to go back to it.
Continuity be damned.
Well, yeah. But that's part of the fun, right?
Right. They're really, really hilarious. Like, I think it's not in part, it's either part 2, Uncle Vernon from Harry Potter is in it, and it's all like ecological stuff. Like he has like this whole thing for clean energy, but the oil companies are trying to find ways to stop him from giving his address. And there's actually one scene where they're getting into a shootout, and OJ Simpson finds these instructions to build a tank. So while everyone is shooting, he's building this tank. And he's like, Nordberg, cover me, I'm going in. And he's finally built the tank. It just blows a gigantic hole. And he's like...
Nice. Yeah.
And the late, great Fred Ward, it was in part 3. We just lost Fred Ward, a.k.a. Remo Williams, this past week. So...
Yeah. The Naked Gun currently on Rotten Tomatoes is sporting a 88%, which is solid. Yeah. 84% audience score.
Yeah, Naked Gun is definitely one of the... I am really willing to put it down as among the greatest comedies of the last 40 years. It's so funny. It stands up. I'll save this for the ratings. I'll save it for the ratings.
All right. Well, then here is Bartender Smiley to let you know how our rating system works. I thought.
Smiley. Taking a break on the job, I see.
He always
does.
The
Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So, what can I get you?
This asshole. First, he's late, and then he cuts me off. We're going to have words with Smiley. It's been a little while. Smiley was on his P's and Q's for a while, and now...
Well, that's what he does. That's what Smiley does, man. He acts like an asshole. We call him
every
out.
time he gets in trouble, he, like, straightens out, and now we're back. It's a cycle with this guy. Anyway, Brian, go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, for one, it's hard to find good help these days, and Smiley is just the help. But with that being said, The Naked Gun is definitely one of the... I would definitely argue that this is among the greatest comedies of all time. If you did a top 10 of comedies of the last 40 years, it would definitely be hard for me to believe that someone wouldn't put Naked Gun up there. Nothing like this movie doesn't drag. You know, we've talked about this a lot lately about films that sort of drag way too long. I'm looking at you, Bubble. Where to the point where a lot of the jokes just fall flat. But now this hour and 25-minute runtime, they use every last bit of that hour and 25 minutes, and it feels just right. Nobody is a weak link in this film. I mean, even Priscilla Presley, who you would think she might be the weak link because, you know, at this point, other than being married to Elvis, what was her main claim to fame? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't have much.
but this film played well to her strengths. So I mean, this is a great film, and for a comedy, this is definitely. I have to give this, and it's not just nostalgia from all of the criteria. I have to give it a 0 shot rating. I have to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that it is a 0 shot rating. And it's just so funny to me. Like I laughed so much, and it was snappy. It was fast. It didn't like lag at all. I would say I would also point out that this according to the Wikipedia that according to Channel 4, this is the 14th best comedy of all time. This is a poll, a Channel 4 poll. Channel 4, obviously a British station, so it's a British poll, and it's no surprise that Life of Brian came in first on that poll. Then the New York Times named this as one of the best 1,000 movies ever made, despite genre, but I'm not sure what number it came in. And then according to a poll in Empire, it was the 7th funniest comedy ever. And I think that might actually be about right.
Yeah, I can go. So what would you put ahead of The Naked Gun?
What would I put ahead of The Naked Gun, just in terms of like funny? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that top tens are always so difficult.
They really are, because it's all subjective. It's all
Yeah,
subjective.
and I could also like I could maybe, if I was given enough time, like I don't think I could do it just right now off the top of my head, but given enough time, I could give you what I think to be the 10 funniest movies of all time. But I don't think I could ever give you that list in order of greatness, right? Like it's just
Well,
going to
no,
be these
right.
these are the
Just
10
these are the
best.
10 these are the 10
Right.
funniest. Now, when you make a list like that, are you looking at spoofs or anything that's classified as comedy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to
Because that's the
class.
problem with lists like this.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, right?
Mhm.
That I think that this may be one of the best parodies, right? If not the best parody, like it's sort of the
This
standard.
is probably the best parody film, period.
And so then when you take that and you look at a list of greatest comedies that is inclusive of all subgenres of that genre, then that would stand to reason that this would be in the top 10 of that list, because it's at the top of its own list. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
no,
so you
you're
would just have to
absolutely
go through and identify sort of the 10 general categories of comedies to include things like romantic comedy. Like I think that something like When Harry Met Sally is probably at the top of that list, or near the top of that list. I think that if you want to look at slapstick, then you've probably got a Jim Carrey flick at the top of that list.
right. Me, myself, and Irene is definitely up there.
Right, it's definitely in the conversation. I think if you talk about like family friendly comedy, like you put something maybe like Cheaper by the Dozen in there, or Parent Trap. I mean, like there you could go through a lot of these different categories, right? And
Right.
yeah, but I definitely
you
think
would
that
probably I think the one thing that you would probably have to do is break it up between family friendly and then other
and
comedies.
everything else, yeah,
Because this movie is definitely like, you can have your kids watch this, but you've got to be really ready to explain why certain things are funny,
yeah.
and let your kid know why. Don't ever walk up to a woman and touch her boobs.
Yeah.
You're gonna get punched in the face.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like this is we said this earlier how well it holds up, and I would argue that in a couple of weeks we're going to look at the Scary Movie franchise, and that's a parody film that doesn't hold up, right? Like
No,
it
really doesn't. It does.
it is absolutely a product of its time. That time being the early 2000s when freaking Hollywood was the Wild West, and anything went, you know.
Anything
So like.
went.
Its jokes, its sexual jokes, particularly, are blatant and grotesque and
Very problematic. Very,
right.
very problematic.
Not subtle. Not like there's no subtlety in Scary Movie, right?
Right. And I'll tell you the truth, though, but see, with Naked Gun, and we already said it, this is a movie, though, that they don't. The only thing that really goes. it doesn't even go too far. The only thing that really lacks subtlety is the physical, not the this is definitely a film that's made just to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's really, in a lot of ways, and maybe this is just me getting older, but that's kind of what I want in a lot of my films. I just want something that's a good time.
Well, if it's a comedy, for sure, right?
But I mean, but there's some comedies that are made and certain people are made to be the butt of the jokes. And that kind of comedy is starting to really, I'm starting to lose interest in that.
Yeah, I'm with that.
But when you look at a film like Revenge of the Nerds, I think the one thing about Revenge of the Nerds that's the least problematic and is actually kind of a saving grace is the fact that among the main protagonists is a homosexual character. And it's never made they tease, but they're not making fun of him.
Yeah.
And he's accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very well accepted. A lot of the jokes there aren't a lot of jokes at the Lamar character's expense. The only thing that's really a joke at his expense is the scene where they aerodynamically adjusted a javelin for his limp-wristed throwing style.
Right.
That was it, really. But I don't know. I think that but the whole point that I'm trying to make is that Naked Gun is one of those rare films that it's as funny today as it was over 30 years ago. And you can laugh at it today, and there's nothing that you're going to really feel bad about laughing at.
Yeah.
Especially the joke about, oh, you forget, I started my career as a building contractor. Just to show like how vicious he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. Like it's a nearly perfect version of this kind of film, and I'd be hard pressed to come up with anything really wrong with it. So yeah, it's a perfect rating for me as well. Next week we will get into Hot Shots. Sorry, Brian, but next week we'll do Hot Shots, and then we'll wrap things up with Scary Movie the following week in terms of our parody month, and then over the summer we're doing the Summer of Song. So. A series of films
awesome.
with music at the center, and that'll be good.
Absolutely, I'm very excited about that. Did we finalize what we were going to do?
Not yet. We're not all the way finalized on that, but we will be over the next couple of weeks. Make sure that you rate, review, subscribe, spread the word, and always make sure that you are listening every week. Check out the YouTubes, we will see you again next time.
Take care, guys. Shout out to the Owls, super fans of the show.
That's right. Later.
Effing Smiley! You had one job!
One! Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.